Hey, how's it going? Okay, so I am going to continue where I left off with my 12 inches, full lengths, etc., etc., and I'll be doing it in alphabetical order. But before I get into that, I'll just let you know in advance I am going to. I do this thing where I organize my artists by first name, which is pretty unconventional for most people. Usually they'll say it like that. But it just kind of is how it worked out with my shelving more than anything else. It's not some kind of contrarian bullshit, though that would be a good guess. It really would be. I'm not going to front. Also, I know that there's going to be a lot of shit that I don't have, and if you bring it up, I probably do want it. Chances are good, unless it's bullshit, then I'll let you know that it's bullshit and your opinion is wrong. But for the most part, I'm working at it. I got some stuff I like. I think I got some cool shit, and I'll flaunt it, obviously. But there's going to be some holes in what I got. And feel free to let me know about it in the comments or other places. I don't know. Don't find where I live, but, within reason. So, what I'm going to start out with is Aesop Rock, The Impossible Kid. And I don't have a whole lot of Aesop Rock. In fact, this is my only record of his right now, but I consider this actually to be, in spite of being pretty new, it's only released, earlier in 2016. One of his better records, all things considered. This is probably his most accessible as well, since a lot of the time what he delves into as a rapper is very esoteric, very cryptic, and purposefully so. Something that he actually touches upon himself in the track Shrunk on this record, talking about how he tries to, hide behind all this cryptic bullshit in order to cope better and shelter himself. But I won't spoil too much about it. It's basically him reflecting upon his career, his life, with a bunch of really goofy, honestly, anecdotes and something that really is hard to explain, but I would absolutely check into it if you're open to slightly more abstract hip hop, I guess would be the phrase, or rap, because hip hop is a silly thing that white people say because they're scared of saying rap for some reason. But look up the track Kirby if you want to get some idea about pretty much what all this record's about. It's goofy, but I like this a lot, and I really like the packaging on this actually, because if you look, when that comes out, and it's like, whoa! I actually thought that this was just some kind of freaking alien thing when I saw the cover from a distance, but no, it's just some guy with a weird little Bahamut type wing hat thing and a one-eyed cat. So that's basically the same, and it's got some beautiful, beautiful illustrated little inner sleeves. Very detailed, very cool, and of course they are on neon green and neon pink. Very nice, very snazzy. Careful. So yeah, very cool stuff. Very nice job on the packaging. This is actually the front cover turns into this big old poster, but I'm not going to use that because A, it kind of goofs with the aesthetic of the record, and B, I usually don't put up posters. I mean, with some notable exceptions. But moving right along, we've got my Agalloch. Agalloch is a really interesting band, I feel. Kind of partially sort of outside what I would normally like, because I usually like my metal very visceral and raw. It's something that, I don't know, I usually tend to stay away from the proggier stuff, but I felt like this kind of hit this really unique crossroad between metal and neo folk, dark folk that I found really interesting, and I think that the way they structure their songs, a lot of them anyway, are really interesting and dynamic in a way that keeps my attention on them, even when it, you know, in theory, isn't something that I would like outside of this context. But yeah, that's kind of what brought me to these records in general. So, with that in mind, this is their debut LP, Pale Folklore, and this is kind of what shows you what they went with in general for the majority of the records. They kind of deviate a bit with, is it Marrow of the Spirit? It's the full length that I don't yet have, and, well, that I'm going to get. I don't much care for their 2014, honestly, and I don't think most people did. But uh, basically, what they have here is a lot of heavier metal influenced, black metal influenced passages with these huge, triumphant guitars, focused again on folklore, elements of folk, mythology, all that kind of thing. And it's really interesting stuff. I think that part of what draws me in with this one in particular is the song structures, which end up feeling very, I would say, not to the point of being like jarring, but dynamic. I already said that, didn't I? I'm fucking stupid. Stop, you guys, please. But they managed to very seamlessly jump from these very angry, almost evil, not quite evil, but, because, again, it's prog metal, but passages all the way to these really, really beautiful, plucked staccato guitar stuff that just gets at the heartstrings. So, I don't know if I can really say much about it beyond that. Look it up. This is the front cover. Back cover, it's got all the songs on it. Oh, and before I forget about it, it does occasionally use a lot of field recordings. Some of them I enjoy a lot. I think they really add to the atmosphere they're looking to develop. Some of them are kind of goofy, like at the end of, I believe it's Hallways of Enchanted Ebony. They close with, they just strip back to the guitar and then they add in these recordings of these dogs just like barking and growling and whimpering, and it's the goofiest shit ever, honestly. I mean, I give it a pass because it's only like 45 seconds, but it's so silly, guys. Agalok, I know that you've broken up, but like if any of you see this, I don't know, man, come on, that was silly. But it is a gatefold. It's a nice little gatefold. It's very to a point. You got the men. You got those like an old Solomon and what have you. It's very nice. Very thick pressing, but it is on black, so I don't think that it is worth showing. So I will move right along to their follow-up. The Mantle. The Mantle. The Mantle. This one is, I think, generally, trying to get a better view of it, folks, generally received better by most people, and I think that is due in more part because I think it's a lot heavier, which is something they denote with the opening track quite well. I think they have the drums have much more presence in the mix. It sounds a lot, and yet they still sound muddier, I think. It's got like a nice, really dirty, grimy feel to the drums, which I like a lot, and there's this really growling, menacing bass to it all that I think really, really brings out some of the the more metal purist, interested kind of elements to it. So that's always nice. And what's more, I think that a lot of the time they take a different direction with their builds with this record. In Pale Folklore, they end up going a lot towards these really I wouldn't say schmaltzy. They're very enjoyable, but these kind of somewhat predictable, like triumphant guitar leads. And with this, they take something of a more unique approach with these really interesting, like staccato picked guitar melodies. Something that they try to blend into the metal heavy portions, and it goes over really well. I was like really impressed hearing that the first few times. I mean, you can't be impressed the whole time. I still think it's very good, but yeah, I don't know what I'm saying with this. I don't know what the intention of that statement is, but this record's really good. It's a lot of fun, and I think that the staccato nature of it kind of does focus a lot better, because this is kind of centered around sort of the idea of a hunt rather than ideas of folklore. It's something that's much more, I guess, downplays. So they managed to build their sound into something heavier while still kind of pulling back on the kind of, I don't know, tropey sounds that they went for in their debut, and that's something that I kind of like a lot. And I'm not sure if that's the case for everyone, but you got the front cover, back cover, and it's another gatefold, because these are fucking huge records. I forgot to mention that, but they actually, this one has their longest track, which follows the 2-minute opener, and it sits almost at 15 minutes. I think it's like 14:54, something like that. So they make some beefy ass tracks, stuff that they can really develop themes on. Very Sigur Rós-esque, if you're familiar with that band, which hopefully maybe. But after that we have Ashes Against the Grain. Ashes Against the Grain. And this is, for many people, I think they're most well received, because I feel this is where they most actively apply their black metal influence, or most actively and most effectively make their black metal influence known. It's something that they also try with their Marrow of the Spirit LP, I believe is the name of it. I'm fucking shitty with names, as I said. I think I messed that up already in the same recording. I'm awful, but I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. However, most black metal influence, I think maybe it shows in the cover, in the middle of this cover. And I don't know. I kind of think that I enjoyed Mantle a little bit more personally, but nonetheless, this is very nice. It feels likenable to what Deafheaven might be doing with their whole, seamless transition of this into this type thing. And I feel like with this record, they got the closest to really blending things together and jumping from one type of passage to the next without showing the stitches or anything like that, which I respect a lot. So that's that. And we got the front cover, back cover, and again, inner sleeve. Very minimalist. They always seem to go from a minimalistic aspect with that, which is cool. And the pressings are heavy as hell, even if all black. I really wish that they could throw in a color thing, but Alright, guys, I'm gonna preface this I just showed some metal and some out there rap. Okay, so I'm not a basic bitch. However, I mean, I was like around in the '90s. I listened to this a lot, and uh, I just enjoy the elements of. I'm really trying to. I just like it, guys. I can just like things. I can just like Alanis Morissette every once in a while. I don't love it. I don't think it's like my favorite thing ever, and it's not like it's breaking any rules or anything like that. It is good, but not great. And I'd just like to, let it be known that it's fun once in a while. And I can have fun once in a while. That's all this is. That's all it's gonna be, alright? Get off my back. So yeah, now that we're done with that, Algiers, self-titled. This is a 2015 record off Matador. This is a really interesting band. I like this a lot. It actually ended up being one of my favorite records from 2015. This is basically what their sound is. It's this combination of post-punk, neo-soul, very it's very spiritualistically charged, very I want to say propulsive, maybe rock music. It's something that really drives at you. Really, actually, I think I had an Algiers shirt on when I was doing my first video. So, and now I can hardly talk about this well. But it's a actually pretty short record. I think it's only they haven't. It's a gatefold, front, back, gatefold, but it is gatefold. It is only one record though, and I believe it's on black, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is just on black. Kind of thin disc too. Not super thin, but pretty basic. But Algiers, self-titled. Look it up. Listen to it with your ears. And what's the time? All right, I think we can go with one more. So, and this one we got Anna Monoguchi with Endless Fantasy. This is probably a band that folks might actually be familiar with, which is lovely. This is a, I guess, chiptune-oriented rock outfit that blew up in the blogosphere a bit ago. They did a bunch of work. These are the guys that did the Scott Pilgrim game soundtrack. They did a bunch of other little things, and this is their debut full length. And well, I have my problems with this. I feel like they kind of stretched themselves thin compositionally after a pretty short while. There are some really fantastic tracks on there. Like, let's see if I can look at this. Japan Air, hugely fun. Prom Night is goofy. Oh, Meow. Meow is great. Canal Paradise, Snow Angels, In the Basement. Everything Explodes is alright. But there are some great singles on here. A lot of fun. And sometimes you just gotta have fun with your pop music, because this is really what it is. And they did a great job on the packaging, which is part of the reason I wanted to get it. I think I should support these guys because I enjoy what they do for the most part, even if I didn't love this through and through. They did a fantastic job with pretty much everything else on this, so I just, support guys that you like with your money sometimes. Front cover. Back cover. You got the little gal head in the hole. And then you got the inner sleeve with some liner notes. You got that prison. And you got the dudes there looking like fucking Big Bang Theory with hair dye. And this is a double LP, but the wax all looks the same. Yeah. And look at this. How snappy this is. That's the first time that I got a splatter vinyl that was done that way, so I was like super blown away when I saw this. And it looks really nice. They did, so yeah. They did a really good job with the vinyl packaging. Thank you to that folks at Anamanaguchi. But that is a good 20 minutes and change, so I think I'm gonna take a break there. After that, we'll get into some more A's. Still not through with the A's. I could give you a hint at what it will start with, but fuck you, actually.